All right, you've made it this far. Good job. We're going to have a little bit of an assessment here to see how well you've been able to practice and play around with the tools in SketchUp. So it's not a very difficult assessment. We're just going to be making two very simple basic chairs, and we'll show you guys, we'll walk you through the process of saving, and we'll get you guys to download this save file and turn it in through Google Classroom. So we're going to utilize all the tools and techniques that we've taught you so far in these videos. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a cube that we are then going to subtract away parts of that cube in order to create our chair. This is what's called a subtractive method. Please make sure that you're following along with the measurements that I give you in this video, as that will be part of the assessment. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to click once to start drawing a square. I'm just going to make it large because I'm not going to click a second time. And I'm going to type in some very specific measurements. So in this case, I'm going to go 18 inches, comma, 18 inches, okay, because our rectangle needs two measurements separated by a comma. And I hit enter. Now we have a 18 by 18 inch square on our floor. I'm then going to take my push-pull tool, okay, click once on the surface, and I'm going to push that up without clicking a second time. I'm going to go 6 foot, so 6 apostrophe, enter. Well, that is a little tall for our chair, don't you think? Let's go ahead and make that 2 feet shorter. There we go, that seems more proportionate. So it's 18 by 18 by 4 foot. Then I'm going to come in here and grab my rectangle tool again, and I'm just going to come in and I'm going to create a profile of a chair on my drawing. Okay, so I can infer to this here, to this other rectangle, and you can see here that here's the back of my chair, here's a leg, here's the seat, and here's my other leg. Alright, now notice that there weren't any measurements on this part, so just kind of eyeball it as best as you can. Alright, now we're going to use my push-pull tool, and I'm going to push out the front, the top part here, and I'm going to click once and infer to the back edge over here, and I'm going to click out, or push out, and subtract my second part. So now we can start seeing here that I have a chair, or it's starting to look more like a chair. Okay, now I'm going to orbit around and zoom in to make myself look like you can see on the inside of my back seat. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to create a rectangle tool. I'm going to start up here at the top. I'm going to draw a rectangle like so. Okay, or you could draw 2 lines. Either way works. And again, using my push-pull tool, I'll push that to the back surface, and now I have 2 legs. Okay, again, I'm going to orbit around, and on the inside of my chair, I'm going to draw another rectangle, making sure that I'm inferring, making sure I'm on the edge of the lines, clicking a second time, push-pull tool, pushing that out against the surface. And now, as you can see, I have 4 chairs and my seat. I'm not quite yet done with this one, because what I can end up doing now is using my push-pull tool, I can infer this leg to be the same width as that leg, and vice versa. I can move this one to be the same as that one. So if I were to come in here and look at this, I can draw my construction line, or my measurement, and that should be in one axis, red, and this should be in green. I'll hit escape. If I click on this corner here, that should snap to that in the green axis, that should snap in the red axis. That's how I know I have a good legs that are the same length, same width, same height as the ones that we're inferring to. Alright, I'm going to pan up here to this point, and I'm going to then take my arc tool, and we're going to create an arc on the back of this table, or excuse me, this chair. So any distance from here, we're just going to kind of click once. We're going to go over to make sure that it's in the blue, click a second time, and now we're going to raise this up. Here's the tricky part. Don't raise this all the way up to the top. Okay, leave a little bit of a gap, just like this. From there we can go ahead and use our push-pull tool and delete that section. And again, I'll zoom extends, and that completes our first basic chair using what's called the subtractive method, meaning that we subtracted our pieces until we got what we wanted. Okay, now I'm just going to kind of scan over here to the side, or pan over I should say, and we're going to do a similar chair. So in the end it'll look very similar to this, but this time we're going to create what's called through an additive method, meaning instead of taking things away, we're going to add things as we go. So once again, we want a rectangle that is 18 inches by 18 inches. This time though, I'm going to use my push-pull tool, and I'm just going to push up a particular amount. It does not have a particular measurement. So now there's my seat of my chair. I then can come in here with the rectangle tool, or you could use a line tool, and I'm going to create the back of the chair like so. Okay, or at least have a line coming across, and again, using my push-pull tool, I'm adding the back of the chair. Okay, just like that. Alright, now I'm going to come in down here at the bottom, and this time we're going to use some construction geometry from our tape measure tool, and on the edge, click once, I'm going to go on the green axis, and I'm going to go, oh, what do we think? 3 inches? That sounds good. 3 inches out. Actually, I'm going to do that on all 4 sides. So 3 inches in that way, 3 inches this way, 3 inches this way. Excuse me. Then I'm going to take my rectangle tool after I've gotten all 4 sides, and I'm now going to use that construction geometry to draw out my 4 legs, or at least the squares that are going to end up being my legs. Okay, I can then come in here and erase my construction geometry, and then using my push-pull tool, I'm going to push down my leg like so. And I could do that on this one, or all 3 of them, but here's a little trick that I didn't show you in the push-pull video. Okay, I've pushed this down a particular leg. If I double click on this surface here, it automatically pushes it to the correct length. So I actually don't need to infer that. So that's just double clicking using the push-pull tool. Now something I do want to infer to is this back seat. I want it to be inferred to this right here, this back leg. Oops, that is not that. There we go. Okay. So now that's all lined up. I can infer that as well, not really infer this, but adjust my seat. And then once again, coming in here with my arc tool, click once, click a second time, and without bringing it all the way up, I can then push that entire piece out. And we'll just go ahead and click on Zoom Extends. And now I have a second chair that looks very similar to our first chair, but I built it in a different way. And again, that's to emphasize the fact that there's no one perfect way to do stuff in SketchUp. You can mix and match, you can create your own style of what tools you want to end up using, but ultimately in the end we're able to get to our final product. So with that said, let's go ahead and save this. So I'm going to go ahead and save it, SketchUp, and what I'm going to end up doing is calling this the 2 basic chairs. And then I'm also going to type in my name. So we're going to go ahead and click save. It'll end up saving it to the cloud, so it doesn't actually save it to my computer. Not yet, at least. Okay, so if I come in here and we're going to go to export, and we want to export it as, no, we're going to just download it. There we go. So exporting, I could export it as a picture in other CAD files. We're just going to want to download it. Okay. The version that we want to download it to is going to be 2017. This is very important because I have the 2017 version on my computer, which I will then be able to open it up. So we click OK. That'll obviously download. And then from that download, it'll look a little different on your computer because you're on a Chromebook. You would just go Show in Folder when that little little window pops up in the bottom right-hand corner. Click on Show in Folder. Then you can click and drag and drop that save file into your Google Drive from that folder, and then you'll be able to upload it to Google Classroom, where you will be able to turn it in. And I will be able to take a look at that. So, if you have any questions, what I would suggest doing first is going back and watching this video, pausing it where you need to, rewinding, rewatching. If you're having issues with particular tools, I would recommend going back in and watching those specific videos on that tool that might be able to help you out. Okay. Ultimately, this is what I'll be looking at, and I'll be going in and measuring to make sure that the measurements that I gave you is where they need to be at, making sure that particular lines and edges and surfaces have been inferred properly, and ultimately seeing how you did making this. So this concludes our basic introduction to SketchUp. Over the next couple courses here, we will be introducing you to more advanced features. So as simple as this was to make this, we can definitely go into some pretty cool in-depth features that'll make these chairs a little undesirable. We'll stick around. We'll show you some pretty cool stuff. So anyways, we'll catch you guys on the next one.